Out here in the Wild West, a man's past rides with him.
She tried to outrun him, he whispered. You can't outride love. She tried to outrun him. Maybe love felt too heavy to carry. Across the plains she rode, fast enough to leave everything except her heart. But when the storm came, he was already there, quiet, steady, waiting. You can't outride love, he whispered. It rides beside you, even when you're scared to look. She'd been running from pain, from trust, from herself. Yet somehow, in his silence and his scars, she found a home no wind could tear away. By sunset, she wasn't running anymore. She was finally free, because love had caught up without ever chasing her. On the vast plains of the American West, the sunset set the sky ablaze, and dust whipped through the wind, forming a hazy veil like a world of its own. Clara Bennett galloped on her horse, her golden hair mixed with dust flying with every beat of the hooves, her eyes wide with fear yet filled with determination, as if she were fleeing both her past and the lingering pain she carried. Every heartbeat, every breath, stretched taut, echoing across the silent expanse around her. Behind her, Jack Callahan, a 38-year-old cowboy, tall and steady, rode in pursuit, his calm figure casting a reassuring presence. His blue eyes were quiet but warm, and he spoke no words, offered no push, only the patient presence of someone who would not let go. He watched every step of her horse, every tremble in Clara's gestures, giving her space while remaining close, like an invisible hand holding her heart. Then, as the wind calmed and the hoofbeats fell into a steady rhythm, Clara turned to look at him. Tears mixed with dust streaked her cheeks, her eyes full of fear and the urge to give up. Jack drew closer, his voice low and blending with the evening wind. You can outride the sun, Clara, but not what's in your heart. In that moment, the audience is swept up, instantly tense, romantic, and brimming with promise for the journey of love and redemption that lies ahead. Part 1. The Dusty Pursuit. On the vast golden plains, summer winds whipped up clouds of red dust, forming rippling, hazy waves across the ground. The sun hung low, casting a muted golden light through the drifting dust, illuminating every strand of Clara Bennett's hair tangled with flecks of sand as she galloped at full speed. Each thundering hoofbeat struck straight at her heart, a constant reminder that she was running from her past, from mistakes she had never forgiven herself for. Her eyes were wide with fear, yet steeled with determination, lips pressed tightly to keep her breath steady, to prevent her heart from faltering under the weight of being pursued. Behind her, a lone figure emerged through the haze. Jack Callahan, a 38-year-old cowboy, tall and steady, riding with the calm authority of a mountain on the endless plains. His brown Stetson shadowed half his face. His worn leather jacket and dusty denim pants marked every beat of his sure-footed ride. He spoke no words, offered no urging, only a steady gaze fixed on Clara, observing every trembling movement of her horse, every shiver in her body. Amid the swirling dust and wind, his presence became an invisible anchor close enough to comfort, distant enough to give her space, allowing Clara to feel a safety she had never known. Red dust swirled over their faces and cloaks, forming a veil that seemed to separate them yet simultaneously bind them together. Clara tilted her head, brushing dust-laden strands from her neck and tightening her grip on the reins. Her horse's muscles tensed with every sprinting stride, each exhale punctuating the rhythm of its flight. Her own breathing merged with the pounding hooves and the wind cutting across the plains, a wild cadence of a heart fleeing fear, not just fear of harm, but of confronting emptiness, of facing the lost trust in herself. Jack maintained a steady pace behind her, neither pressing nor shouting, keeping just enough distance to let Clara know she was not alone. His eyes, deep and empathetic, seemed to read every hidden fear buried within her. Occasionally, he leaned slightly forward, his gaze flicking across her form, and in those moments, a warmth seeped into her chest, softening the chill of memories past. Yet the wind and dust would swirl back, reminding her that she was still running, not yet ready to face what awaited. Suddenly, Jack slowed, pausing for a few heartbeats to let Clara ride ahead. The moment stretched endlessly. She felt the choice in his eyes, the patience he offered, yet also the invisible challenge. Perhaps, without words, he was asking if she would keep running or dare to turn back and face what awaited. Clara's heart raced faster. A combination of her horse's pace and the tension of being silently tested while simultaneously protected. In those fleeting seconds, she had to decide: run or stop, flee from pain or confront it, confront herself and Jack. She leaned forward, her gaze fleetingly meeting his through the red haze, a spark of electricity passing through her chest, a mix of fear and curiosity. She said nothing, riding on silently, but her heartbeat had already begun to change rhythm. Jack followed steadily, but this time faster, never letting her get too far ahead, silently reminding her that he would not leave, that his love and patience would not fade. The feeling of being watched without pressure, both safe and exhilarating, kept Clara entirely focused on every hoofbeat, every inhale, every exhale. Dust swirled across the plains, sometimes obscuring vision, yet also creating a private space where their souls intersected without a single word. She felt her breathing sync with her horse, the horse's rhythm align with Jack's ride, and in that instant, a silent but powerful connection took shape. Fear was no longer simply fear, it became a catalyst, showing Clara she had never truly been alone. As the wind grew stronger, dust whipping around them, Clara felt an urge to glance back, to see him closer, to be reassured he was still there. Jack sensed it too. He said nothing, keeping his gaze steady, hands lightly on the reins, as if holding the space around her. These moments stirred within Clara a mixture of wanting to flee and wanting to stop to face him and the pain. Emotions surged: fear, excitement, curiosity, and a flicker of hope. The sky darkened as dusk deepened, the sunset highlighting every detail across the plains, each blade of grass, each rising swirl of dust, every bead of sweat glistening on Clara's brow. Everything seemed to slow down, leaving only the pounding of hooves, the wind's whistle, the heartbeat, and their exchanged glances. Jack leaned slightly once more, eyes calm yet full of unspoken meaning, reminding Clara that he would not abandon her, that love was not something to chase, but something patient enough to wait. Finally, as she turned to glance back, dust and tears streaked across her cheeks. She met his gaze deep, steady, warm. Jack approached, voice low, blending with the evening wind. "You can outride the sun, Clara, but not what's in your heart." His whisper rode the wind, echoing across the vast plains, dissolving every fear in Clara's heart. The moment was both tense and romantic, urgent yet gentle, drawing the audience into the galloping rhythm of the story, a story where redemption, hope, and love began to bloom across the wild western plains. Clara continued riding, no longer fully running. She began to realize someone was following patiently, silently, and would never leave. That was Jack, a cold, quiet cowboy who loved with redemption, guiding her through fear, leading her toward freedom, toward a heart once broken but capable of being whole again. Emotions surged. The audience could feel the tension, the tenderness, and the promise of a journey ahead where love and kindness triumph over loneliness and a painful past. Part 2. The cliffside confrontation. The wind howled across the rugged cliffside, swirling clouds of red dust around the pair, forming a hazy veil that seemed to separate them, yet intensified the feeling of solitude and confrontation. Clara Bennett rode her horse, her body trembling after the long chase, heart pounding with each gallop, every beat a reminder that she was standing at the edge of a choice: keep running or finally face it. The gusts whipped through her hair, lifting dust into her eyes, forcing her to blink repeatedly. Tears mixed with sand, making her bright eyes shimmer with the chaotic mix of fear and hope. Beside her, Jack Callahan appeared like a steadfast shadow, his blue eyes calm, yet warm, his gaze steady, but gentle. He had caught up, riding up to the cliff's edge, one hand lightly on the reins. He neither shouted nor urged her forward. He simply stood there, a solid anchor between the harshness of nature and Clara's fear. In that moment, it felt as if time had paused. The wind still roared, dust still swirled, but their eyes met, creating a profound silence. Clara drew a deep breath, her whole body trembling, hands gripping the reins tightly. She could feel her heartbeat, her rapid breaths, the subtle panic rising within her. For the first time since leaving the town, she looked directly into Jack's eyes without turning away, a mixture of fear and curiosity flooding her. The fear of being hurt, long haunting her, sharpened. There was no place left to hide. And yet, his gentle but unwavering gaze reached into the core of her pain and loneliness, making her heart flutter with a new rhythm, part anxious, part expectant. The swirling dust highlighted the fragile boundary between them. Jack leaned slightly, the sunset lighting his face, accentuating every detail: the tilt of his eyes, the firmness of his jaw, the strength in his hands tempered with quiet restraint. No scolding, no push, only his eyes spoke volumes. Clara felt her heart pulled between the instinct to flee into the void below and the desire to pause and trust. An inner conflict surged, leaving her body trembling not from fatigue alone, but from the intensity of her emotions. The first tear slid down her cheek, mixing with the red dust, catching the sunset light like a jewel, a blend of sorrow and hope. Clara bowed her head, inhaled deeply, feeling as if she were confronting all her fears: fear of abandonment, fear of pain, fear of opening herself again. But Jack stood there, unmoving, issuing no commands, simply present with unwavering patience, silently saying she didn't have to run anymore. His presence was an invisible hand holding her heart, a silent promise that love could heal all wounds. Then he stepped closer, his voice low, just enough for her to hear, blending with the wind and haze of dust. 'Cause love don't quit just 'cause it gets hard. The words rang like a spell across the harsh mountainside. They shattered the wall of fear within Clara, allowing her to feel for the first time that love was not something to escape, but something to face, to trust, to let heal. Her heart beat stronger, each pulse trembling yet steady. Their eyes met in that moment, deep and wordless, full of weight. Clara realized she was not alone. He had patiently stood there, waiting for her, giving her the chance to stop running and choose love. The wind whipped stronger, dust swirling in waves, yet Clara no longer felt fear. She sensed her heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of her horse, Jack's ride, and their shared breaths, forming a private melody across the wild landscape. Emotions surged, the fear of being hurt gradually dissolved, replaced by trust, hope, and the sense of being protected. She felt an unusual security, as if all past pains were seen and accepted. Jack extended a hand, but did not touch her. He simply stood there, eyes deep yet gentle, silently conveying that the choice was hers. Clara looked into those eyes and saw love, forgiveness, and the chance to start anew. Another tear slipped down, this time not from fear, but from realizing she could trust in love again. That cliffside moment, amidst wind, dust, sunset, and pounding hearts, became a milestone in her life, the place where she learned that loving was not an obligation, but the bravest choice of all. Clara inhaled deeply, lifted her gaze to Jack, and for the first time since fleeing, she did not want to turn away. Her body felt lighter, her heart steadier, and her mind open to the silent message he had sent. Jack nodded slightly, confirming that she was ready, that the road ahead could be difficult, but she would no longer be alone. Emotions surged to a peak: fear, anticipation, love, trust, all intertwining, pulling the audience into the wild cliffside with Clara and Jack, letting them feel the full force of a moment of inner redemption. Then the wind blew past, dust settling in part, the sunset fading. Yet the emotions and connection remained, a reminder that the healing journey had just begun, that the love of a lone cowboy was no longer a chase, but a patient, warm companionship. Clara stood there, trembling yet steady, knowing that this time she would not run away again. Part 3. Shelter from the storm. The sandstorm outside raged on, wind sweeping through the narrow mountain crevice, kicking up thick clouds of red dust that turned the outside world into a blurred, harsh, almost alien landscape. Clara Bennett and Jack Callahan had just crossed the rocky slope, hearts still racing, hooves leaving prints on the cracked, dry ground. They sought refuge in a narrow mountain crevice, where 2 rock walls shielded them from the storm's fury. The scent of sand and dust hung in the air, yet this temporary shelter offered a rare sense of safety, a place to breathe, to look at each other, to feel their racing hearts slow after the relentless chase. Jack bent down, gathering dry branches from the crevice floor, striking a small fire. The flames danced, reflecting off his rugged yet gentle features. Sparks leapt into the air, mingling with drifting dust, creating a scene both wild and strangely warm. Clara sat close, trembling, shielding her eyes from the dust, seeking comfort in the fire's glow. The flames reflected in her eyes, bright with fear and hope, as she felt, perhaps for the first time, a true sense of safety, not from fleeing, but from the patient presence of another. She leaned forward, placing her hand lightly over Jack's palm, a silent plea for protection, afraid to meet his gaze. Jack smiled softly, saying nothing, his eyes conveying everything, calming her racing heartbeat. The tension in her body began to dissolve like settled dust after a storm. The wind outside howled, echoing the fears she carried, yet the fire stood like an invisible wall, reminding her that she did not always have to fight alone. Clara took a deep breath, sensing her breathing slow for the first time. No panic, no flight. Her eyes met Jack's through the haze, realizing that his presence was not pressure, but protection. A hand that would not withdraw. A quiet reminder that she deserved safety. As moments passed, the fire flickered in both their eyes, creating its own rhythm, a silent harmony between them. Clara felt her heart tremble yet stabilize, as if she had fought a battle without firing a single bullet. The wind roared outside, whipping dust into the air, but inside the crevice, only silence reigned, punctuated by the crackling fire. Jack stooped to toss another branch onto the flames, fire illuminating the scars on his hands, marks of a life filled with loss and solitude. Clara studied him closely and saw patience, endurance, and the strength to stand by her, offering a chance at peace without forcing flight. She whispered, voice trembling, I never thought I could feel safe like this. Jack didn't answer immediately. He just looked at her with gentle eyes, then exhaled slowly, voice low but firm. Love don't chase. It just waits long enough for the storm to settle. His words echoed through the crevice, blending with the howl of the wind outside. In that small, enclosed space, they felt like a prophecy, a healing magic. Clara absorbed every word, feeling fear dissolve and learning that love is not something to chase, but something to wait for patiently and trust. Emotions surged, belief and hope ignited, making her tremble. But this time, the tremor was of an opening heart, of faith in a second chance. She lowered her gaze, placing her hand on her horse before lifting it to meet Jack's, eyes now reflecting an openness she had never dared before. A sense of safety washed over her, a gentle excitement that made her heart pound. She realized she no longer had to run and that Jack would never leave her. His silent presence had created a small world where loneliness and past pain held no power. Outside, the sandstorm raged, but inside the crevice, the fire cast warm light across their faces, painting a scene of intimacy and trust. Clara looked into Jack's eyes, reading an unspoken promise he would be patient. He would not abandon her. And she was worthy of love. Warmth spread through her body, easing fatigue and fear, giving way to rising hope. Time seemed to slow. The fire crackled. Shadows danced across the rocks. Dust settled. Emotions surged. Clara felt Jack's love and patience as an invisible force lifting her heart, reminding her she could open herself, that a second chance always existed. In that moment, all fear melted, replaced by trust, hope, and the sense of someone steadfast by her side, not leaving, only patiently waiting for her to believe. Clara leaned against the rock, eyes on the fire, mind empty but heart full. Jack stooped, hand on the reins, gaze calm and warm, no explanations needed. His presence was the first true healing she had received after a long flight. Emotions surged, excited, yet calm, fearful, yet hopeful, as if all her past wounds were being cleansed in the flickering firelight of the narrow crevice. This moment was more than a temporary refuge from the sandstorm. It was the first time Clara realized love could feel safe, that she could rely on someone without fear. Emotions peaked as Jack whispered again, voice low and steady, "You don't have to run, Clara. Not anymore." She drew a long breath, trembling yet relieved. For the first time since leaving town, her heart opened, hope rising powerfully. Outside, The storm raged on, but inside the crevice, love, patience, and trust took hold, creating a warm, healing space full of promise for the journey ahead. Part 4. The first test. The sandstorm finally began to settle, leaving a hazy atmosphere as the fiery sunset pierced through the thin veil of dust, casting a red-golden glow over the mountainside and plains. Clara Bennett drew a deep breath, her heart still pounding from the long chase. She felt each inhale sync with the galloping rhythm of her horse. Sand and dust clung to her hair, dress, and skin. But the warm sunset light gave her a fleeting sense of safety. She sat tall in the saddle, eyes scanning faint shadows in the distance, unaware that danger was approaching. Suddenly, two figures emerged at the edge of the plain, partially hidden in the red dust. They were bandits, guns slung across their backs, eyes cold and ambitious. Clara's heart raced. This time, running was no longer an option. She had to face it. She sensed the threat closing in. Every movement of the bandits exuded menace, their dust-streaked coats flapping in the wind, guns glinting in the sunset. Fear she had once avoided surged back, but now it fueled her to fight. Jack Callahan rode in front of her, tall and solid, one hand on the reins, eyes fixed steadily on the bandits. He drew his gun, calm but authoritative, silently saying, "I will protect you, but you must be brave too." The pounding hooves and whistling wind created a tense rhythm across the mountainside. Clara felt the energy radiating from Jack, his quiet resolve a reminder that she no longer had to run. For the first time, she recognized her own strength. She could stand, confront danger, and rise to the challenge. As the bandits charged, Jack shoved Clara behind him, placing his body between her and the threat. Gunfire erupted, red dust swirling around them, wind whipping the bullets through the air. Clara trembled, but a strange feeling blossomed in her chest, not fear, but determination. She gripped her gun tightly, aiming at the bandits, hands shaking yet firm. For the first time, she actively defended Jack, standing her ground instead of fleeing. Fear still lingered, but it shared space with a new strength, a heart learning to trust. Jack fired while moving, maintaining a safe distance for Clara, eyes never leaving the bandits. He guided and protected her, but also allowed her the chance to participate, to feel her own strength. Clara aimed and pulled the trigger. The first bullet whistled through the air and struck its mark. She gasped, heart racing, a mix of exhilaration and fear surging through her. She could do this. She could stand firm. She could fight for herself and for someone she trusted. The storm finally passed. The sunset faded, painting the red sand with pale gold. The bandits, shocked by their resolve, retreated and fled. Silence fell, broken only by the fading wind and the distant echo of hooves. Clara sat down, trembling, sweat and dust coating her face, but her eyes held a new light. She was no longer the fleeing girl, no longer afraid of love or danger. She had stood, faced, and fought. This growth brought both fear and pride. Jack approached, gaze steady yet gentle, voice low but filled with strength. "See, you ain't running anymore." Clara wept, tears mingling with red dust along her cheeks, not from fear, but from releasing the long-suppressed terror, realizing she no longer had to run, that she had found her own strength and trust. The weight in her chest lifted, replaced by a fresh sense of confidence. Jack's love and patience had saved her from her own fears. She lifted her head to meet Jack's gaze, eyes full of gratitude and anticipation. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. a silent gesture of reassurance, a promise that he would always be there, not judging, not leaving, simply accompanying her and waiting. Emotions surged through Clara, excitement and calm, trembling and steady. For the first time, she felt complete harmony with Jack, not only in action, but in emotion. The sunset dimmed, yet their eyes sparkled like embers in the night, a testament that they had survived the first trial, a bond formed between two lonely but good-hearted souls. Clara knew this was only the beginning of their journey, but this time, she would not run. The emotions within her swelled not with fear, but with faith, hope, and the sense of being safe and redeemed for the first time after years of fleeing. In the narrow mountain crevice, red dust settled. A gentle breeze whispered, carrying the peaceful sounds of sunset, fading hooves, and Clara's now steady heartbeat. She realized she had learned an essential lesson to rise, confront, and trust is the only way to be truly healed. Emotions peaked, allowing the audience to feel fully her fear, courage, and the newfound strength rising within, setting the stage for the coming chapters filled with tension and emotional healing. Part 5. The long night fell over the narrow mountain crevice, the sky stretching into a velvet black, dotted with a few twinkling stars like tiny lamps of hope in the darkness. A gentle wind swept through the gap, carrying the scent of sand and damp earth, a reminder that the Wild West was as harsh as it was mysterious. The flames from the crackling fire danced, illuminating the weary yet emotionally charged faces of Clara Bennett and Jack Callahan. In the tight space, the fire's warmth enveloped them, creating a small world, temporarily shielding them from the fears and dangers outside. Clara sat close to the fire, knees hugged to her chest, eyes fixed on the sparks leaping into the air. She shivered not only from exhaustion, but from memories that still haunted her mind. Each pop of burning wood echoed reminders of her past, of things she had tried to forget but couldn't. She looked at Jack, his tall, steadfast frame, eyes calm and gentle. For the first time since leaving the town, she felt she could speak, could share her pain without fear of judgment. Jack sat opposite, hand lightly resting on his horse's reins, gaze fixed on her. He said nothing at first, only listened. His silence was not oppressive, but patient, giving Clara the sense that she was safe enough to open her heart. Each breath she took, every subtle movement, he felt as if he understood every thread of fear and loneliness within her. Clara exhaled softly, her shoulders relaxing for the first time in days. The safety of his presence spread warmth through her body. She began recounting her past, voice trembling but steadier than before. Her slow, deliberate words fell like drops of water on dry earth about lost family, betrayed trust, shattered hopes she once held. Her tone carried both pain and regret, but also the signal that she wanted to trust again. Jack remained silent, eyes never leaving her, occasionally nodding to affirm he was listening, that she was not alone. A soft breeze passed through the crevice, making the fire dance more wildly, light flickering across their faces, highlighting every emotion. Clara looked at the reflection of the flames in Jack's eyes and realized something important. He was not just hearing her, he understood, offering acceptance without judgment. Her heart throbbed, pain mingling with relief, as if a part of her had been set free. Old stories and past wounds poured out in the dark, forming a rhythm in harmony with the crackling fire and the whispering wind. Clara laughed lightly, then cried, tears mingling with red dust and sweat on her cheeks, a mixture of fear and healing. Jack leaned closer, hand on her shoulder, voice low and gentle. "It's all right, Clara, you can let it out. I'm here." His words were a balm, breaking down the barriers Clara had long erected. She felt the tenderness in his tone, the sincerity, and for the first time since running, she knew she could fully open her heart. Emotions surged: pain, fear, loneliness, all transformed into new trust, a second chance for her heart. Clara closed her eyes, letting the tears fall freely, then opened them to meet Jack's gaze, a mixture of relief and gratitude shining in her eyes. Jack smiled, eyes glinting in the firelight, affirming that he would not leave, that he would be her anchor. In that moment, Clara realized love was not merely emotion, but patience, quiet presence, a hand to lift her when she was weakest. The wind whispered through the crevice, carrying the murmurs of the Wild West, blending with their breaths. Clara continued to share her attempts to hide her pain, the moments she thought she could trust no one again. Each story was like old dust blown away by the wind, leaving space for hope and love to settle in. Jack did not interrupt or judge. He simply sat, eyes full of care and compassion. As the night deepened, the fire waned, yet in the narrow crevice, the two souls seemed to merge. Clara felt peace for the first time after many tense, fleeing days. She knew she had found someone who could listen without judgment, someone to accompany and protect her. Emotions surged: excitement and calm, trembling yet steady. Before sleep, Clara lowered her head, closing her eyes, feeling the warmth of the fire and Jack. She knew challenges awaited tomorrow, but at least tonight, she had found a place to open her heart, to trust, to feel gentle yet powerful love. Her emotions surged, this time with trust, hope, and a healing of the soul she had once thought lost forever. In the final moment before closing her eyes, Clara looked at Jack once more, eyes glimmering in the firelight, and silently whispered, "Perhaps I'm not alone anymore." Jack responded with a soft, complete smile, reminding her that a second chance always exists, and love can save even the most wounded hearts. Emotions peaked. The audience could feel the tenderness, calm, and vitality in this moment of true healing. Part 6. The Sunrise Ride. Dawn broke over the vast plains, pale golden light filtering through the tall grasses, carpeting the ground like a radiant tapestry. Dew still clung to the blades, sparkling in the first rays of sunlight, creating a scene both peaceful and majestic. Clara Bennett sat tall in the saddle, eyes wide, taking a deep breath as she felt the immense space surrounding her. For the first time in days of running and facing challenges, she felt a sense of freedom overflowing, a feeling unbound by fear, only her heartbeat in rhythm with the galloping hooves. Jack Callahan rode close beside her, strong and steady, his blue eyes gentle yet resolute, the dawn light casting warmth across his rugged features. He spoke little, letting his presence and actions tell the story. The wind lifted Clara's golden, dust-streaked hair, each strand flowing like a rhythm of freedom. She turned to look at him and realized there was no chase, no pressure, only a complete companionship, where love was free yet steadfast by her side. Their horses thundered across the open plains, hoofbeats striking a rapid yet harmonious rhythm with the wind and the morning birdsong. Clara felt every movement, every vibration of Jack beside her, and in that moment, her heart opened completely. No more worries, No more avoidance, she only needed to trust, to ride together. This sensation was unlike anything she had imagined about love, not binding or pressuring, but a freedom shared side by side. The sunlight highlighted their faces, a fleeting smile on Jack's lips. Clara's eyes sparkling, hair dancing in the wind, reminding them that this moment belonged entirely to them. Clara realized that safety and love were not distant treasures to seek, they were here, in Jack's silent yet complete presence. Emotions surged within her, both gentle and grand, affirming that she was no longer running. Jack leaned slightly toward her, eyes full of understanding, and whispered softly yet firmly, "Only if you ride together." The words rang like an unspoken promise, assuring them they would travel the road ahead together, neither left behind, neither alone. Clara looked at him, eyes wide, a soft smile forming, heart overflowing with trust and hope. She realized this was the moment of true healing. Love was not to confine, not to chase, but to accompany and support. The wind swept across the plains, lifting stray blades of grass, sunlight glinting on lingering dust from the storm, creating sparkling streaks in the air. Clara leaned slightly toward Jack, her hand brushing his arm, feeling steadiness, gentleness, and a harmony she had never known. Every passing moment, the rhythm of the horses, the beating of hearts, the cadence of breath merged into a unique symphony across the open plains. She recalled days of running, sandstorms endured, challenges overcome, realizing all had led to this moment, true freedom, where fear no longer ruled, and love stood both gentle and strong beside her. Emotions swelled within her, this time calm, confident, and complete. Jack said nothing, but his gaze and smile told Clara everything she had found someone to ride with to the end of the road, through storms or sunrise, together. She understood that love and trust were not for running from, but for living with, sharing, and growing. Her heart lit up. Belief rose strong, and she knew she was no longer afraid. In the imagination, the camera pulled back, showing them riding across the endless golden plains, wind lifting their hair, dawn light on their faces, emotions merging with the landscape. Clara realized this moment was proof of her growth, the power of love and patience, and that second chances always exist. The wind swept through the crevice, carrying whispers of the Wild West, blending with their heartbeats and horse strides, composing a gentle yet majestic symphony. Clara silently promised herself she would no longer run, she would trust, open her heart, and let love ride beside her. Emotions surged gently yet grandly, the audience feeling the freedom, peace, and hope spreading across the untamed western plains. In the final moment of sunrise, Clara turned to Jack, a dreamy smile on her lips, eyes sparkling. Jack responded with a complete, gentle, and steady gaze, reminding her that love is not possession, but companionship. Emotions peaked once more, reinforcing the healing message they were no longer alone. They had found each other, and from this moment on, every journey would be taken together, with faith and hope overflowing. Part 7. The Hidden Valley. Morning mist lightly veiled the distant valley, low shrubs carpeting the ground like a soft mat, sunlight filtering through the leaves, creating a quiet, almost magical space in the wild western landscape. Clara Bennett and Jack Callahan rode in from the plains, weary yet filled with a newfound sense of calm after days of running and facing challenges. The vast but tranquil valley seemed to welcome them, offering a first taste of safety since leaving the town. They found temporary shelter among low hills, where the trees provided just enough cover, forming a natural roof against the morning mist and gentle breeze. Jack carefully guided the horses close, stroking and checking each one's condition, his hands steady yet meticulous. Clara stood nearby, observing him, feeling the tenderness in every movement. These small, simple actions caring for the horses, preparing a resting spot, sweeping leaves, collecting wood felt strangely warm, creating a sense of peace she had never known. Her heart began to beat again with feelings of being valued, safe, and, most importantly, no longer alone. Clara slowly removed her hat, brushing dust from her hair, eyes scanning the valley. There was no chase, no looming danger. She inhaled deeply, taking in the scent of damp earth, grass, and faint smoke from the fire, an atmosphere so gentle it brought complete calm. Beside her, Jack added more wood to the small fire, the light reflecting across his rugged but gentle face. Clara noticed the rhythm of his heartbeat and breath, a silent yet profound companionship. She sat beside her horse, stroking its soft coat, occasionally glancing at Jack, realizing her trust was gradually returning. Days of running, lonely nights, moments facing danger all seemed to fade in the quiet yet powerful peace of this hidden valley. Jack's gentle care, unspoken but evident through actions, created a safe space where she could relax both body and soul. Clara began to smile softly, a natural smile after many tense days. Jack looked back at her, gentle eyes, lips curving into a faint smile. The valley was quiet. Only the whisper of grass in the wind, rustling leaves, and the horses' steady breathing. In that moment, Clara realized she was no longer alone. The loneliness that had clung to her for years melted away. Her heart opened, allowing hope to rise, allowing a second chance to appear. Jack filled the horses' water from a nearby creek, pouring it into a trough. Clara stood beside him, helping, their hands briefly touching in a silent exchange. She felt warmth spreading not from the fire or light, but from his presence, patience, and gentleness. She realized this was the second chance she had never believed she deserved the chance to be loved without fear, to open her heart without being hurt. As they prepared a simple meal bread, roasted meat, a little water, Clara felt the simplicity yet sufficiency, the care that made her feel valued. Jack tended not only to the horses, but ensured Clara lacked nothing. She realized that in this wild western landscape, gentleness and kindness were more precious than any treasure. These small, seemingly ordinary acts now felt grand and warm, healing long-held wounds. After their meal, they sat by the small fire, its glow reflecting on their faces, blurring the surroundings, leaving only two people sharing a moment of peace. Clara looked at Jack, eyes shimmering in the firelight, feeling his steady heartbeat. She began to share small stories from her childhood, about family, about dreams she had been too afraid to voice. Jack listened, silent yet full of care, making her feel that every story mattered, every wound was seen. Emotions surged strongly within Clara. The loneliness she thought could never fade was gone. She felt a strange warmth, a belief in second chances, in love and kindness capable of redeeming a person. The flickering fire reflected on their faces, creating a cinematic tableau of companionship and healing. Jack placed a hand on Clara's shoulder, gentle but firm, a reminder she no longer needed to fear. Clara lowered her head, letting a single tear fall not from pain, but from feeling understood, safe, and loved. This moment marked a turning point in her journey, the first time she truly believed in a second chance. The first time she opened her heart to experience love and complete companionship. Before resting, Clara looked around the small valley, inhaling deeply, sensing the vast yet safe space, feeling the wind and mist on her face, realizing this was a place where she could finally feel at peace, where she was no longer alone. Jack stood close, his gaze calm yet warm, reminding her that love was not pressure or restraint, but companionship, patience, and a second chance everyone deserves. In the final moments before night fully fell, Clara vowed she would no longer run. Emotions surged, trust, hope, love, and healing filled her soul. The distant valley became a new beginning, where two lonely hearts found each other, and where gentle yet strong love began to rise. In that moment, Clara knew she could trust, open her heart, and live fully, perhaps for the first time in her life. Part 8. The Promise. Dusk settled over the vast plains, a cool breeze sweeping through the golden grasses, bending with the rhythm of the air. The red light of the sunset painted the clouds and illuminated the faces of Clara Bennett and Jack Callahan, highlighting every feature, every gesture, every glance full of emotion. The wide, peaceful, yet majestic landscape mirrored their hearts at this moment, open, expansive, and ready to embrace love fully. Clara rode close beside Jack, her hand brushing lightly against his reins. She felt her heartbeat sync with the horse's rhythm, each pulse matching Jack's breathing. The wind lifted her hair, tossing it in the fiery glow of the sunset, and in that moment, she realized that freedom, safety, and love were no longer luxuries. They were right here, in the hands and eyes of the man who had ridden beside her through every challenge, every sandstorm, every fear. Jack halted his horse in the middle of the plains, the sunset casting light across his rugged yet gentle face. He looked at Clara, gaze steady but warm. Words were unnecessary. Through his eyes, Clara felt his sincerity. He would not abandon her. He would not let the past or loss come between them. In that instant, all her fears dissolved, replaced by trust and hope. Jack reached for her hand, holding it gently but firmly, a silent and complete promise. She felt the steadiness and tenderness in his fingers, and a surge of emotion filled her heart, happiness, peace, and a love that was gentle yet steadfast. The red light of the sunset filtered through flying strands of hair, reflecting in their eyes like a warm flame, reminding them that they had found each other in the Wild West. Clara smiled softly, a fleeting smile full of gratitude and trust. For the first time since leaving town, she looked at Jack with complete faith, free of fear and vigilance. All the pain, loss, and loneliness melted away in this moment. Emotions surged, their heartbeats in perfect sync, creating a gentle yet romantic climax that allowed the audience to feel the joy spreading through the vast, peaceful plains. Jack whispered softly, voice warm and low, "Clara, I promise, no past will ever come between us. I will stand by you, always." His words filled the space, mingling with the wind rustling through the grass, making Clara's heart swell. She felt that he promised not only with words, but through his presence and the actions that had followed her through every trial, from sandstorms to long, temporary shelters. Trust rose powerfully within her for the first time. She could give her whole heart to someone without fear, without doubt, without vigilance. Clara squeezed Jack's hand lightly, feeling his heartbeat align with hers. The wind continued to blow, the red light of the sunset bathing them both, creating a cinematic tableau, two hearts, healed and trusting again, discovering the possibility of a second chance. Clara spoke no words, but her gaze conveyed everything unspoken gratitude, happiness, hope, and a gentle, steadfast love. Jack smiled, eyes full of encouragement and warmth, affirming silently that he would never let go. They stood there, hands entwined, heartbeats aligned, silent yet complete, letting the world around them settle. The red sunset enveloped them, as if to etch this moment of happiness forever in the heart of the West, where love, patience, and healing converge. Clara felt every breath of Jack, every heartbeat of her own, and for the first time, she believed that all past wounds could be healed. Emotions peaked, trust, hope, love, and happiness merged, allowing the audience to feel the overwhelming sense of peace and vitality in this healing moment. They held hands, horses standing quietly beneath them, a gentle breeze lifting strands of hair, the sunset casting golden light over their eyes, creating a scene both romantic and majestic. Clara realized this was the moment she had been waiting for, a place of safety, belief in second chances, and gentle yet powerful love, enough to carry her through every storm in life. Jack leaned forward, placing a soft kiss on her forehead, a light, meaningful kiss, cementing the promise in their hearts. Clara closed her eyes, exhaling softly, feeling peace spread through her body. This was not just Jack's promise, but the deepest healing moment for her soul, where all loneliness, pain, and fear were soothed by genuine love and companionship. The sunset light gradually faded, but their heartbeats remained in sync, composing a gentle symphony across the wild plains, where love is not merely emotion, but commitment, a faith in second chances. Emotions swelled again, but this time with joy, absolute peace, allowing the audience to feel the full power of love and trust. Clara looked at Jack, eyes full of complete trust, silently promising herself that from this moment, she would no longer run. Emotions rose once more, gentle, warm, and full of hope. They stood together, hand in hand, in the vast plains, the breeze sweeping past, the red sunset surrounding them, a perfect cinematic scene of love, trust, and second chances. Part 9. The test of faith night fell over the vast plains, the sky sprinkled with stars like a silver carpet stretched across the heavens. A cold breeze drifted through, brushing Clara Bennett's hair, sending a shiver down her spine yet sharpening her senses. After days of running, facing challenges, and finding a second chance, she now stood before another storm, the inner turmoil of confronting her past. Every painful memory, every emotional scar, every failed love surged with the pale moonlight, tempting her to retreat, to run, even though Jack Callahan remained by her side, patient, calm, steadfast, and waiting. Jack stood close, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder, eyes gentle yet strong. He said nothing, letting her feel the solid presence beside her, a support in the darkness, a counter to loneliness. The wind whispered through the mountain gap, carrying the rustle of leaves and the scent of damp earth. But in that moment, Clara no longer felt cold. The warmth from Jack, his body, his gaze, his tenderness wove through her heart, soothing fears and wounds she thought had been closed forever. Clara inhaled deeply, leaning against him, shoulders trembling, but this time from emotion, not fear, She felt her heartbeat sync with his, two hearts resonating in silence. Beneath the starry sky and the chill wind, she revealed her deepest pains, the disappointments and fears she had carried, moments she had believed love was not meant for her. Her voice trembled, soft yet charged with emotion, echoing into the quiet night. Jack gently wrapped her in his arms, placing his hand on her back, drawing her closer as if to transfer safety and trust into her very being. His voice, low and warm, like a gentle stream in the desert. "It's all right, Clara. You don't have to carry it alone. I'm here, and I'm not leaving." His words rang out, a reminder that love was not just emotion, it was patience, forgiveness, and healing. Clara felt each word penetrate her soul, dismantling walls she had long built. Emotions surged, fear, loneliness, emotional pain all transformed into relief, peace, and trust. For the first time since fleeing, she felt her heart fully open. No barriers, no doubts. Jack whispered into her ear, voice warm and low, blending with the wind and rustling leaves. "You deserve to be loved, Clara, and I choose you." At that moment, Clara's heart seemed to explode with joy and complete trust. She closed her eyes, letting a tear fall not from pain or fear, but from realizing she was worthy of love, and he was worthy of her trust. All loneliness, all painful memories, every emotional scar was soothed in his arms. The night wind passed through the mountain gap, carrying the scent of damp earth, grass, and the natural aroma of the plains. Clara felt Jack's warmth spread through her body, heartbeats in perfect sync, knowing this was a moment of inner redemption, where love healed every wound. The surrounding space seemed utterly still, leaving only the two of them standing in the wild, sharing a complete, intimate moment. Jack leaned forward, placing a soft kiss on Clara's forehead, a gentle kiss, yet brimming with meaning, faith, hope, forgiveness, and love. Clara closed her eyes, trembling with emotion, feeling love fill every breath, every heartbeat. This was their first kiss, light yet profound, not merely a romantic gesture, but a moment of inner healing, affirming that they had found each other amidst the Wild West, amidst loneliness and past pain. Clara exhaled softly, leaning into Jack, feeling peace wash over her. Emotions surged powerfully, yet gently happiness, trust, serenity, mingling with the faint light of the moon and twinkling stars. She realized that from this moment, she no longer feared the past, no longer needed to flee loneliness. She had found a place to open her heart, to trust, and to love. Jack placed a hand on her cheek, gazing deeply into her eyes, steadfast yet gentle, imparting strength and protection. The surrounding world seemed to fade into stillness, leaving only their synchronized heartbeats and the whispering wind. Clara felt each beat in harmony, each breath in rhythm with Jack, realizing this was the moment she had longed for: complete redemption, full trust and love, where all past pain was healed. Night deepened, stars glimmered, a soft breeze swept through, moonlight and starlight reflecting across their faces, creating a perfect cinematic scene. Clara silently vowed that from this moment on, she would no longer run. Love was not pressure, not restraint, but companionship, forgiveness, and a second chance she deserved. Emotions surged once more, gentle yet powerful, allowing the audience to fully feel the healing and the true love blossoming between two souls in the untamed West. Part 10. The horizon. Ahead. Dawn broke once more over the endless golden plains, soft light gilding every blade of grass. Wisps of lingering morning mist floated in the air, creating a majestic yet serene landscape. Clara Bennett and Jack Callahan rode side by side, their eyes reflecting joy and freedom. Each hoofbeat echoed across the sandy earth like a heartbeat shared by their own. Hearts that had found each other and healed from deep wounds. The wind lifted Clara's hair, making her laugh softly, her laughter drifting across the wide expanse, blending with the sound of galloping hooves and the whistle of the plains breeze. Jack looked at her with gentle, steadfast eyes, a gaze she knew she could rely on, trust, and surrender her heart to fully. There was no fear, no doubt, only pure happiness and the boundless sensation of freedom. In an imagined wide shot, the camera pulled back to reveal the vastness of the scene, the plains stretching to the horizon, the sunrise spilling light across the land, and the two of them riding through the sea of golden grass, souls reunited, hearts at peace. Clara realized this was the moment she had longed for. All fears, all pain, all lonely memories had been healed. Faith in a second chance surged within her, mingling with the wind, the sunlight, spreading across the plains and into her soul. Jack leaned close, voice low and warm, whispering into her ear, "You can't outride love, Clara. It always finds its way home." His words carried both tenderness and strength, filling the space in Clara's mind. It was not merely a declaration of love, but a profound message of healing. True love never abandons. It waits patiently, guides, and walks beside, helping one find oneself. Clara felt complete happiness, every cell in her body vibrating in rhythm with their hearts, the wind, and the galloping hooves. She leaned her head toward Jack, hair lifted by the breeze, eyes shining with gratitude and absolute trust. He returned her gaze with gentleness, a soft smile playing on his lips, hand resting lightly on the horse's reins, allowing them to move forward together, yet freely. Emotions surged: happiness, peace, and hope merged, lifting every worry and loneliness she had carried for so long. They rode across the plains, the wind whipping around them, sunlight illuminating their radiant faces, forming a perfect cinematic tableau. Clara realized that love is not something to flee from, but something to journey with, to heal with, to live fully in each moment. Jack's gaze held trust and commitment, reminding her that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. The imagined camera pulled even further back, revealing the sweeping plains, with their figures shrinking into the distance. Two souls reunited after storms past. Clara's emotions peaked: full trust, perfect happiness, and hope for a wide-open future where love and faith endure. She felt her heartbeat align with Jack's, with the horse's hooves, with the rhythm of the Wild West. All previous pain and fear dissolved, replaced by faith in a second chance and the healing power of love. She knew that from this moment, she would no longer run, no longer doubt. She had found a companion, a complete love, and unshakable trust in the future. The wind swept across the plains, the morning light shimmering over everything. Jack and Clara continued to ride, hands clasped, heartbeats synchronized, eyes sparkling with joy and peace. This was the moment where every trial, every storm, every fear had been soothed, emphasizing the core message: true love is healing. It offers a second chance, and it inspires unwavering faith in the Wild West. Finally, the camera imagined pulling back to show their figures growing smaller amidst the endless golden plains, the sunrise illuminating the full scene. Clara leaned into Jack, a smile on her lips, eyes glimmering with light, realizing that from here on, they would ride together down an open path, no longer alone, no longer fearful, only filled with trust, love, and hope. The space was quiet, yet alive with energy. The emotional climax reached its peak. Trust, hope, happiness, healing, and true love. The audience could feel the full message a lone cowboy told, yet loving through redemption. Before the story closed, the final call to action. Before we begin, take a moment to comment the name of your city, where are you watching from tonight, and when the story ends, don't forget to rate it from 0 to 10. The channel's USP echoed clearly: romantic healing stories in the Wild West, love, kindness, and redemption. Their figures continued riding toward the horizon, hooves in rhythm, wind lifting Clara's hair, sunlight surrounding them. The audience could fully feel the message in the Wild West. Love does not chase, does not impose, but walks alongside, heals, and offers a second chance and opportunity for every broken heart to beat again and find trust. The story closed, yet the image of two riders traversing the endless golden plains remained engraved in memory. A reminder a cold cowboy loves through redemption.
He found peace, not by forgetting his past, but by forgiving